Bhumi, you can just start. We are live.
Okay. Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? We have our comment section ready, and you all can, interact with us. We'll wait for 2 to 3 minutes, and then we'll start with the session. Hello. How's your quarantine going on, everyone? Basically, now we are not in the lockdown, but still.
Yeah, I guess Maharashtra is one of the most hit states, so we have to take precautions mostly.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll start, sir. Just I'll give a brief introduction and we'll start.
Sure, that works.
Okay. Uh, a very good evening to one and all present here. I, Bhumika Bess, take this opportunity, Execom member of IEEE student branch, Shri Ramdeobaba College of Engineering and Management, Nagpur. Welcome you all to this webinar that you all have joined us. Let's have a look on what we will learn in this session. What is cloud computing? Then why should we learn cloud computing? And how and why we must start our journey on this law of learning the platform and how to take it as our career. Then we'll also learn that what are the major platforms to learn the cloud computing. After that, as there are a lot of platforms available, so which one to choose and how to go about. That is also what we are going to learn today. So I'm very grateful that Ali sir has joined us today, and I'm very honored to I extend my heartfelt gratitude to sir that sir has joined from his valuable time he has shared with us. So now I'm taking this opportunity to welcome sir, and I'm also honored to introduce our sir. So, Sir is a Google certified educator, level 1 and level 2. Then, Sir manages Google Cloud Developers Community, Mumbai, as a co organizer. Sir is also a software innovator at Intel and is also part of Microsoft Student Partner. Sir is a TED speaker as well. Sir is a lead ambassador for IEEE Collaborate and also is an advisory member for the platform. Sir has established the first TensorFlow user group in India and now it has a community of more than 2,000 members. Sir is recognized by Google students for his excellence in communicating with students at a very young age. Sir has been youngest speakers, panelists in many of the conferences and seminars. Sir has also been listed in many newspapers like Times of India for his commendable work. And the list of Sir's achievements go on. We extend a heartfelt gratitude to you, sir, for joining us today. And now I hand over the session to you, sir.
Thank you so much for such a nice introduction. So I will share my slide and get started.
Definitely, sir.
Okay, so I've shared my screen, just put it across the display so that we can go ahead. Okay, so I hope everyone is doing good. We have good 80 plus people around here, so let's start. Okay. Okay, so I guess there was also a free survey, and you shared some important details with me. That was awesome because it really means a lot. How to shape up your session according to the users. So that really helped me. So let's start. Hello, everyone. My typical way of saying hi is waving a hand, but though I cannot see you, I can actually see what you're typing. So just put in a good hello into the chat. I'm monitoring the chat live, so Once you say hello, I will be able to see it. Okay. Okay, so for the CS guys, it's pseudo hello everyone, because people tend to kind of not say hi and hello, but yeah, that's it. Okay, so about myself, I say myself as like I build human networks, because that's what I do. I have built up crowdsource community from bottom. Currently working as a like entrepreneur. I am also the part of Intel Software Innovator Program and a Microsoft student partner. So I've been talking a lot in different conferences and different seminars, workshops, and these are some of my images. Obviously, taken. This was taken in February this year, so just before the quarantine started. This were the images just before that. Okay, and it was in part of the University, Gujarat. So yeah. So I usually talk a lot, and I take interact with different sessions. At a given point of time, I travel to like till now I have traveled to more than 38 cities. So yeah, that's what my day and night looks like. So our one of my most commendable work is at Google Crowdsource, when we published a paper for Inclusive Images 2.0 at Neural IPS Canada, and I was invited as a speaker at Santa Clara, US, for delivering a session on bias in machine learning at TensorFlow World Ignite. And that was the world's first machine learning so the world's first TensorFlow World Conference, which happened in Santa Clara. So yeah, these are some of my kind of achievements which I kind of tend to take. So why me as a cloud engineer? Because my major focus is machine learning and artificial intelligence, and working towards improving health and AI, and AI in different segments. So why should you hear me about cloud? Because so I'll share a small introduction about that as well. So I'm a Microsoft student partner. So we are a global group of on-campus ambassadors, which are learning Microsoft technology and leading our clan with the local, impacting local students. If you're interested more about the program, or if you want to become one, if you want to become an MSP, you can reach out to me after the session, and I can guide you about your application progress, or you can just search about MSP on Bing, and you will find a lot of information. Also, why I should be the best one to teach cloud is because I have been with cloud from the start of my journey, from the start of my career, I can say. So earlier I used to manage, I was a part of GDG Mumbai, which was focused on different technologies. Then I was one of the founding member of GDG Cloud Mumbai, where we initiated or started GDG Cloud Mumbai from zero, and it has more than 2,000, 4,000 members in today. And I'm also part of Azure. So as I'm also MSP, Microsoft Student Partner, so I work with Azure a lot and deploy applications there. Also a part of education, AWS Educate, which is more about how we can talk about how we can leverage our AWS services into education and make more out of it. So I have the knowledge of all the trending cloud which is running up. Even Oracle, I did one certification recently. So yeah, I might be the right person to teach you how cloud works in real life, probably. Okay, so what is cloud? So if you ask yourself a basic question, how does internet work? So can you tell me, how does internet work? I'm waiting for your comments in the chat section. So you can put in a live comments, and you will be able to see that. Okay. Yeah. How does internet work? Like the basic question, like what happens when you type www.google.com, or when you type www.microsoft.com? What happens then? Yeah. Anyone? You don't know how internet works? I guess everyone knows how internet works. um, yes. Okay. So the basic entity of how internet works is everything works as an IP address, right? So whenever so internet how internet was invented was the basic idea behind internet was to connect different PCs and share the information across them. Okay, and it became big, and then it was able to connect cities, states, and then the world actually. Okay, so whenever you type google.com or microsoft.com into the browser, what happens is first it goes to the DNS server, and from that DNS server it retrieves the IP address of the domain. So let's say google.com, so it's not really google.com. So then it retrieves the address, and then it's something like 256 dot something 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 something, and then it goes on to that IP address, and then the web page listed is visible to us. Okay, so this is the high level kind of scenario which happens, which you might be aware of. But what really happens at the low level is you actually have, you should have a dial up, you should have an internet connection, you should have a router. It goes through the router, and then from that router it routes your request to that so to your service provider, and then from there it goes to the hub, and then it goes to different connections, and then at the end of the day you are able to get access to google.com within seconds. Okay, so yeah, that's how internet works. So why should we learn how internet works to understand cloud computing? Because as a developer, we develop a lot of applications. We develop applications in terms of Android apps, we develop desktop apps, we develop websites, and so on. And even in this situation of COVID, if you are following the situation, you might be seeing a dashboard. Okay, a dashboard which is available on the website, and you might be tracking what's happening, how many cases are rising, how many deaths are going on, how much is the infection, which is the green zone, which is the red zone, and so on. Okay, so now to make that accessible to you, so many people, many developers make some small projects, but they don't actually publish that project or make it available for the public to use. And that's how it only works on their machine, and it doesn't work on someone else's machine, right? Because that is their code, their local machine, right? So if you want to take that code and provide that as a service to your users. So for example, if I have a website which displays information about COVID-19, so what will happen is I have made the website, it's running on my computer, and it is good to go, everything is very accurate, and I am on a stage of deployment. Okay, so once I reach that stage, I need to make sure that this website which I have created is accessible by everyone across the world, and they should be able to see and get the data, able to manipulate the data, or work with the data which is available, or with the visualizations which is available, and get some information. Now, as a developer, as a small developer, I don't expect people to come in numbers. So I am like, there might be 10 people or 20 people coming and visiting my website. You never know. So if your website is quite famous, it might be visited by millions of people, like 1 million visitors, 10 million visitors, 20 million visitors, and so on. Okay, so you never know. Okay, so it might be one user, it might be 1 lakh user. Okay, so if you go for so what is a typical way? You go for a hosting provider, that is Hostinger, HostGator, GoDaddy also provides, and so on. They are small, not small you can say, but they are hosting provider companies which provides hosting services for your application. So your domain will be listed there, it will redirect to your web page, they will provide you some amount of storage, and they will give you a pretty interface. Okay, where you can upload your code, and you can monitor and do everything else. Okay, so that's how you can get started. But what if I want to scale it up? What if I am not sure if my application is going to be used by 10 people or 1 lakh people? What to do in that case? So in that case, the scalability factor is not there with hosting providers. Most of them are not able to provide that scalability factor, because it is shared hosting, and it is like there are tons of websites which is hosted there. And the irony or the profit making machine, which I say, is because on one single VM they deployed hundreds of websites. So a single VM is hosting like a single VM of like 8 gigs memory, 32 like around 1 TB of storage, and so on, can actually host hundreds of websites. and because they are very small websites and people like kind of visit here and there. But if you set up your own cloud, it might be very cheap. It might be very much cheaper, and it might be very much secure. At the same time, it might be very much scalable than all the service providers which are available. Okay, in terms of hosting. So cloud, how does that work, or what is cloud computing? So the term was originated in around 1960s and 1970s, when internet of things, or when we were actually talking about how connected things work. Okay, or how network works, or how we interact with each other, and how we interact with people. Okay, so that time there was a small term. It was not cloud computing, obviously. So all the diagrams were represented by cloud. So whenever someone told internet, the diagram or the idea of internet in people's brain was a cloud. Okay, and why was it cloud? Because they believe that cloud can travel everywhere, right? So they believe that internet is everywhere, so it's like it was named as cloud. Okay, and then soon when we progressed about providing compute services, or different services um, on the platform, or some companies came in and they were like, we will going to provide some services where we will share our computer over internet. And then the term was coined, that called as cloud computing. Okay, so computing represents all the services, or all the all the services which the companies provide, and cloud, which represents mostly. So it was a coin term. It was not, people didn't thought that cloud means that, and so it was basically the representation of internet, which then led to the name cloud computing. So how your computer looks like? This is my computer, HP by Omen, and it has a good RAM, around 32 GB of RAMs, a good NVIDIA GPU, and around 1 TB of memories, 1 TB of storage, not memory, sorry. So if I want to do machine learning, I can awesomely do machine learning on this laptop, because it supports GPUs. I can actually walk around with different configurations, and it works awesomely. But my previous computer didn't support so much of compute. It didn't have so much of compute power, so it was very difficult to work with that and to train my models. Okay, but even if I have the computer which I have, it's a very good good configuration. But for some models like object detection and object segmentation and NLP and reinforcement learning models, I am still not able to train it on this laptop. It costs around 1,20,000 rupees, 1.2 lakhs. Okay, so if you like, after investing 1.2 lakhs, if I'm not able to kind of train a model, which is my need, obviously, and I want it compact, where I can carry it everywhere, and so on and so forth. So you can imagine how setting up, how costly setting up your own server might be. Okay, so if you are talking about hosting your own website, or if you're talking about making your own WhatsApp and deploying on your own server. So how much compute power you might be requiring to just load that application and make sure that it works amazingly. Okay, so this is how the data center looks like when I talk about cloud computing. Okay, so this is the complete. It is Google setup and USA, and they have the complete setup of n number of GPUs, TPUs, and a lot of machines. Okay, and now they have these machines available, so they want people to use their machine and pay them some rent. Okay, so most of us live on rent, right? So what usually happen is you don't construct the house. What you do is you pay the rent till the time you are there in the house, and then once you're done, what you do is you just leave the house as it is and move out of it. Okay, so similarly, cloud computing is a concept where someone kind of gives their computer to you, which is much more powerful than yours. And what you can do is you can go ahead and pay some rent for that hardware, or the underlying software underlying the hardware, and then they will be giving you that service, and you will be using it. Okay, So that's the overall concept. You go to a shopkeeper like Google, Microsoft, Alibaba, Amazon, pay them some money, say that, oh man, I want 10 GPUs, I want 100 gigs of RAM, I want 10 terabytes of memory, and I want this things, right? So what I want, what I want to do is I don't want to buy everything like that and keep it at my home because I don't have space. And there are money issues as well, obviously, because if I'm buying that much amount of hardware, it's going to cost me a ton, and that is a temporary use. So it might be possible that tomorrow tomorrow there is a new GPU, so I need to upgrade that GPU and so on. So there are so many different disadvantages of making your own build to do to deploy your real world applications. Obviously, there are exceptions. So, for example, like for government websites or for very critical data, health websites, it becomes the data becomes very sensitive. And in that case, people were like, okay, let's set up our own infrastructure and put our data here, and then we will kind of make our own infrastructure. Because and obviously it is costly because you need to set up security for it, you need to set up virtual security, physical security, up to date cooling systems, electricity, it should not be hit by natural calamities, and so on and so forth. Okay. Okay, so this is how the Google's computer looks like, which they are going to rent us, and they are going to give it to us for the cost of pennies. So if you are running a virtual machine which is F1 micro, it is going to cost you around 5 cents, that too for IP address, and it will be completely free. Same with Azure, same with AWS. They also provide some free services, so you can actually use their computer without paying anything. But you obviously need credit card because if you use more than what you are saying you are going to use, as I told you, scalability is one of the key factors, right? So if I'm, let's say, using one VM and I have kept it on auto scaling, and suddenly there are lakhs of users and it scales up to 100 VMs. Okay, so what will happen? It will incur me cost because it is out of my free cycle. So in that case, they will have to charge somewhere, right? So that's why they ask credit card, so that they can quickly charge you before you kind of run away from paying the money. So that is one of the major you can say trap where people usually they put in their credit card details, and they are usually careless about starting the resource and putting an into a resource, and that's how they kind of turn up to be paying a lot more money than what they are expected to pay. Okay, so what are the features which I should go for cloud? So the first feature and the foremost feature is on-demand self-service. So what does on-demand self-service means? In simple terms, if you read it, in terms of, let's say, weddings, what happens is you are doing self-service, right? So if there is a buffet system, what you do is you take your own plate, and then I usually take a lot of gulab jamuns, then and desserts, then the main course. So I will usually go to the dessert section first and eat all the dessert, and then come back to the main course. Okay, so self-service, right? You might not like dessert, you might like main course, you might like biryani, you might like veg biryani. So you might go to that counter and have it, and then you might like golgappe, so you might go to that counter and finish it off. So that means on-demand self-service. So you have a demand, you want to eat 20 rasgullas, so that is available there. Okay, and you can go and get it. Okay, so where is not going to coming is going to come at you in buffet system. You have to go there and you have to pick your own thing. So even in terms of cloud, what happens is there is a website. You go to the website and you say that, hey man, I need 100 gigs of RAM, I need 1 terabyte of memory, and I need this both things in a VM, and the operating system should be Windows. You say that, they will calculate the price, and they will be like, okay, this much is the amount you might be incurring after using this for so many hours. And then you're like, okay, that's fine, and then you get that service. Okay, the second feature is pay as you go. So you don't have to pay anything upfront. So you don't have to pay anything upfront. Okay, so let's say I requested in the first example was 100 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte of memory. Okay, now I'm deploying a small Ludo game. Okay, now playing Ludo is not going to consume 100 GB of memory, will it? No, it won't, right? Because 100 GB of RAM is too much for playing Ludo. Okay, so it's not getting used, right? But I committed for using that. So it provides an ability to say that, okay, pay as you go. You are not using 100 gigs. Okay, we'll bring it down to 10. You're not using 1 terabyte of memory, we will bring it down to 500 GBs, so that you only pay for what you use. And the third one is availability. So you can access your resources on the clock. So you don't need to go to a physical data center and say that, hey man, give me an access to this resource. It is available, securely accessible across multiple devices. And then something got as also availability also means that if you today go and ask Google for 1 petabyte of storage, Google will be able to kind of provide you that very easily as well. So they say that unless you want more than 10 petabyte of storage, you come to us and email us that we need 10 petabyte of storage, dedicated storage, and then we will just enable it from our end and you will be able to access that. Okay, so till 10 petabytes you can directly go and book it online, and then after that you need to kind of just call Google and say that, hey man, I need more than 20 petabytes of memory, and then they will arrange it for you. So that's the massive availability as well. Large network access, obviously you can access it from any given device, any networking device which has internet connection, even your smartwatch. So yeah, so what are the who are the top players in this? Okay, who are leading the race of cloud computing, or who are providing services in cloud computing? On the very topmost is Amazon Web Services. Okay, Amazon started as an e-commerce company, everyone knows that, right? And they started by selling books, and then they saw that there is a rise of people buying in books and rise of people coming on the site to buy the books, right? So why not so they had to scale it. Obviously they had to put in their own hardware and they had to scale it. Okay, so after a few times they were like, if we can scale it for our e-commerce services, there are many more players who want to come online and they want to sell their own services or their own applications. So in that case we will provide the service to everyone, and then that's how Amazon Web Services was born. And that's how it tops the market with more than 60% share in the market still is with AWS, Amazon Web Services, and that's why it has a big chunk of market with it. Okay, second one is Microsoft Azure. Microsoft has been in business for a very long time, and Microsoft Azure, specifically its cloud, has been there for actually for businesses. Microsoft is a boon because it provides services which are so awesome that businesses try to use it. Google Cloud is a new player. It had infrastructure and everything. Interestingly, Google is the world's second largest hardware manufacturer. Okay, so Google is world's second largest hardware manufacturer. Okay, and they manufacture their own hardware, and they were not into the cloud game much, but they came recently, and they are also on a very good kind of growth, and they are growing on a daily basis. Salesforce, eating the market like crazy. Amazing platform. And there are many more platforms apart from this, like for example DigitalOcean, Heroku, then there is Alibaba, then there are so many different service providers available. So what are the services they offer? So there are, okay, I understand there are so many service providers, but what are the kind of services they will offer me as a client? So the first thing, the first column represent on premise. What does that means? That means which is there on our at your company or at your home or at your office, right? So a simple example of that would be, so you are new into the city, you shifted to let's say I am in Mumbai and I shift to Nagpur. Okay, now will I go to Nagpur and say that I will generate my own electricity? Is it feasible to say that I am going to Nagpur, so I am going to generate my own electricity in Nagpur, and I am going to go to the river and make a pipeline and bring that to my house so that I can use water, and or I will dig a well and I will say that I will kind of use my whatever and remove that water and kind of drink it. So is it feasible for me to do that? Or is it feasible for me to say that I am going to grow my own tree and I will wait for 20 years till the fruit opens, fruit gets on that tree, and then I will eat only from that? It's not. Why is it not? Because I just shifted to a new city, and what it is going to cost me a ton of money to generate my own electricity and to get my own water supply. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go to the government or the Mahanagar Palika in this case, and I'm going to tell them, hey dude, you already have an electricity generator, you have water supply, if you are able to give it to me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some amount of money for that. And that's what we have been doing till now, right? So the municipality generates the electricity, it is given to a private company, and then they charges on a monthly basis, that okay, this is the cost of your electricity consumption, this is the cost of wheeling charge extra, and xyz and xyz, right? So on premise means everything I am going to create, everything I am going to put in my house, which is very unfeasible. As you told, everyone says no, it is not feasible. But again, if you are, unless you have a very critical application, so like for example, the Mahanagar Palika cannot say that, right, that I am going to let the citizens generate their own electricity, and I'm not going to provide any service. So in that case they have to do that, right? So for exceptions like that, for example, banks, on premise is good, okay, or some very critical data, on premise is good. Or you're very sure that this is the amount of hardware we are going to need, on premise is good. Okay. Second one, infrastructure as a service. Now when I talk about infrastructure as a service, what does that mean is, what the cloud provider is going to give me is, it's going to give me raw servers, it is going to give me networking abilities, it is going to give me virtualizations, okay, and it is going to give me raw storage. What does raw means? Raw means Hindi mein kacha, right? Non cooked, right? So raw means they will just give you the raw hardware, and whatever you want to do with that hardware, it's up to you. So mostly what you are going to do is you are going to add an operating system to that hardware. You are going to maybe add a runtime or a middleware or an operating system, and then you're going to add some data, and then on top of that you will have your application, right, which is running on all this, like databases and everything, obviously. So this is called as infrastructure as a service, where you get raw hardware. Okay, so you ask for raw hardware. Then comes platform as a service, PaaS. So it's called as IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. Okay, so PaaS, we say platform as a service. In platform as a service, what we say that, okay, I am going to provide you the hardware, I am going to provide you the operating system, I am going to provide you the database, configured from my side. What you need to do is you need to bring your own data, you need to bring your own application and just put it on the top of it, and then you are good to go. Okay, so you need not worry about anything. You need not worry about the operating system, you need not worry about the networking, you need not worry about the storage or anything. What you do is you bring your application, you bring your data, and start using the service. So that's called as PaaS, platform as a service. And then comes SaaS. Okay, SaaS means software as a service. So in that case, you don't manage anything. Okay, so a good example of SaaS can be, any good example of SaaS where you are just using the service, you're not managing the service. We use it on a daily basis, a lot of applications which are SaaS. Any example? Yeah, Instagram is a software as a service, right? They have an application and they're providing that application as a service to you. So what you do is you just use it. You don't make your own Instagram server, right? You don't do that. You just use it, right? Another example, Gmail. You don't make your own Gmail. What you do is you just create an account and it gets created, and then you just use it. Okay, so these are called as SaaS applications. Okay, so SaaS applications will be the something which you are going to kind of just use it and not develop it. Okay, so Salesforce is mostly into PaaS and SaaS. So they do this services. Okay. All others are into AWS, Google, and Azure. They provide all the services like infrastructure as a service, platform, and software as a service. And yeah, so that's an example. So you will ask me, what is the major difference, Ali? Why should I use cloud or why should I not use cloud? What is the major difference between both of these? So there are two things which are called as capex and opex. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom this in so that you are able to see capex and opex. Okay, so what I want from you guys is to tell me what is capex and what is opex. Anyone has an idea what is capex and what is opex? Yes, no idea at all. Anyone else? You have no idea at all? Okay. Anyone? Just give it a try. What does capex and opex means? Just Google it, man. That is also fine. Okay, no one knows it. Okay, that is going to be interesting. So, what is capex? Capex means capital expenditures. Okay, capex, capital expenditures. Okay, and what are capexes? They are something which are companies' major or long-term expenses. Okay, so what does that means? That means let's say today I want to start a business of you know let's say I want to start a business of Xerox. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a Xerox machine. So that's going to be my capex, because if I don't have the machine, I'm not going to I cannot print Xerox, right? So I need the machine, so I need to buy that machine. So buying that machine means that is going to be my capex costing. Okay, and then what is an opex costing? Opex costing means now I have the machine. I know that okay, I have bought the machine, but I don't have paper, I don't have ink. So what happens in that case? In that case, what happens is your machine is useless because you don't have the operating cost, you don't have the money to get the paper, you don't have the money to get the ink. Okay, so Keshav has told the answer, and yeah, that is something which is there. Yeah. Okay, so opex means operating expenses. So even if you so let's say you buy 10 Xerox machines and you now don't have money to buy a Xerox paper, so is it a good idea? Yeah, is it a good idea to buy 10 Xerox machine and no Xerox paper and no ink money? It's not. Everyone with a common sense will say no, it's not a good idea. Why is it so? Because investing too much on capital might lead to you won't have the money to actually run the business, and that's why many investors, they don't put in money whenever capex is involved. They are like, no man, it is not feasible for us when I talk about an investor, but bank might. Okay, so yeah, that's capex and opex. So in single term, this graph might help you understand what is capex and what is opex. Okay, so capex means long term, which is like not for short term. Opex means on demand, so it is going to be whenever you require it, you buy it. So play and plug, we usually say it. So I need 100 gigs of RAM, I am going to just go and order 100 gigs of RAM. Okay, low value. So let's say, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just disconnect with my router currently, which I'm operating on. Okay, so let's say we are going to imagine a scenario where my internet is just going down. What will happen? The stream will stop, right? I will be disconnected. So let's do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just switch off my router. So okay, yeah, so I just switched off the plug of my router, but I'm still connected. Okay, why is it so? Because I have a secondary device here, okay, which is also connected to my laptop. So it is a MiFi. So even though my physical connection is not there, but I have a secondary connection. So that's a backup plan, right? So if the net goes, I have a backup plan which can actually, kind of suffice, or say that, hey man, this is, your session should not go, where you leave in between the session. Okay, so you need that. Okay, you need that service available at you, so that people can say that, okay, um, that's a very important service, because bank is operating and suddenly the electricity goes into the data center. What happens? Everything is messed up, right? So that's how, if you are investing on capex, you need to take care of your internet, you need to take care of your electricity, your physical security, your virtual security, and there are so many things. Okay, but in terms of opex, you don't have to manage that. You just need to take care of your internet, and everything in the server side is going to be taken care by the company or the service provider which is providing you the services. So yeah, so how does the market look like? So people will be like, okay, this sounds interesting. Cloud looks very interesting. So will I get money if I learn cloud? So that's one of the major questions which people ask me. Am I going to get money? So this graph represents the growth of cloud computing and different services in cloud computing, and what the market looks like for 2022. Okay, and the source is Grantor, so they are one of the most major, they publish some good analytics of different businesses, and one of the most trusted analytics engine, we say. Okay, so here you can see how different company, how different services. So we are not comparing companies here though, so we are comparing different services and what is their estimated growth in 2022. So imagine this, it is going to be there that, most of the times what is going to happen is, um, machine learning is trending, machine learning is hot, everyone wants to learn it. Blockchain is trending, blockchain is hot, everyone wants to learn it. IoT is trending, IoT is hot, everyone wants to learn it. Okay, now there might be a day where machine learning is no more relevant, because there was a day when PHP was very much relevant, and there is today when PHP is not at all relevant. Okay, so yeah, still there are a lot of websites which use PHP, but again, no one would learn PHP at this given point of time. Okay, so in future JavaScript it might happen to the JavaScript as well, because there might be new languages coming up and it might get old, and you might have to relearn the whole thing. But cloud is the scenario where no one is going to replace cloud computing. Okay, so what is going to happen in the near future is, because of the competition, you are going to pay low amount of money, very less amount of money, and get good service. So what happened before Jio came into the market? Airtel was selling 1 GB data for 256 rupees. Vodafone was selling 1 GB data for 256 rupees. Okay, 1 GB data per month. Okay, and as soon as Jio penetrated into the market, what happened? 1 GB data per day, right or wrong? So the cost is going to reduce over the time as you go ahead. When there is more competition in the market, the cost is going to. And why cloud computing is never going to shut down is because we are going to use cloud. Okay, so if you are developing an application that is going to go on the cloud, okay, that is going to getting deployed at the cloud. If you are talking about industry 4.0, that means you are going to connect internet, different devices through internet. They are going to generate ton of data, so data generation is going to be it's going to become 10x. Okay, so if it's becoming 10x to the data is generating on a 10x rate, we can expect the storage to generate at the 10x rate, right? So obviously, because when there is the flow of data, we need storage, and we need analytics, and we need different kinds of application which can actually help us to analyze that data. So cloud computing is here, it is going to be there, it is going to be there forever, I can say that, because of the service which is which they provide. Because data is going to be generated, and data is going to be generated even if you are not using, if you have zero digital footprint. That means you're not using mobile phone, you don't have any digital device, you don't have Facebook, Instagram, anything, right? So you are a normal person who is living in like 16th century. So even if you are that person, okay, and you move around into your city, you go and you buy groceries, you go and you buy milk, you go you buy, you buy a car or anything like that, it is going to generate data, it is going to generate a bill, it is going to generate a lot of data. Okay, so you can imagine the amount of data which is generating, and the services which are required to store this amount of data and to process them, and obviously the applications which are going to process this data. So with industry 4.0, I can say that the usage of cloud is going to be more increasing than decreasing. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so now you know what is cloud, why cloud computing, opex capex. Okay, now why to learn cloud. Okay, so you are like, okay, I am convinced, Ali, that everything is fine, but should I learn it? And if I should learn it, which cloud should I learn it? Okay, should I learn Google Cloud, should I learn Microsoft Azure, should I learn XYZ? So when I talk about learning a cloud platform, what I usually say is learn the concept behind the platform. So for example, if I am today talking about auto scaling, so auto scaling means you need to configure load balancers on the servers, and you can do an internal load balancing or an external load balancing. Okay, Docker, Kubernetes, okay, DevOps, so MLOps. There are so many different common concepts which all this platform, they all kind of use. So all these are common concepts. The only difference is the configuration. So the Azure cloud might look like something different, and Alibaba might look like something different, but the underlying concept remains the same. Okay, so it is just like if you are making a building, and if you are making a building, right? So will the process of will you still use columns to support your building, or here you, or for other buildings you're going to use bamboo? You're going to use columns, right? You're going to use cement columns, concrete columns to support your building, or steel to support your building. You're not going to use bamboo, right? Why? Because you know that steel works and concrete works. So that is going to be going, that is pillar is going to be there, the structure is going to be there. Okay, but the outer side will be changed, the color might be changed, and the design might be changed, the interior might be changed. So all these things, all these things, you need to consider that while learning anything. So don't learn it because I am telling you to learn it. Obviously I might have personal agenda. Yes. Okay, so you don't ever whenever someone tells you to learn this, you don't ever listen to them and say that, okay, I'm going to learn this. You apply your own logic and say that, okay, why should I learn cloud? Okay, because cloud is used, industry 4.0 cloud is used, data is generating, cloud is used, which cloud to learn then, which concepts are trending, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that was my opinion, as I told you already, about industry 4.0, its revolution, big data, augmented reality, addictive manufacturing, system integrations, autonomous robots, cyber security, and so on. So this is going to really give boost to most of the fields available which are already there. So yeah, you can actually go through the slide and understand how these things are going to work. Okay, so that's why I always recommend that learning cloud is y- you can actually replace everything, but learning cloud you cannot replace it with anything. And learning cloud is a package. Okay, so let's say you are a full stack developer. If you know how to deploy application, you are a backend developer, if you know to work with cloud, you automatically, you can actually you become a package to the company. So company will be willing to pay you more money because you know cloud as well as backend services. Okay, so there is one question, I guess, from Vinita, which says, what are the opportunities in terms of jobs after doing an online course on Google Cloud Platform Fundamentals for AWS Professionals by Google Cloud on Coursera? and where can we apply for jobs? Okay, I'm going to cover that at the end of the session. Okay, so that's why I always recommend learning cloud, because it is a must thing. Okay, so unless you are a designer, obviously designers don't need cloud. So unless you are a designer, even designers might use SaaS, but yeah, unless you are a designer, you are a backend developer, or even you are a front end developer, you might need to learn cloud, because basics of cloud might be helpful for your job and interview. Okay, so what does a job look like? So when someone asks me, okay, you're telling me to learn cloud, so what does my typical day will look like? Okay, so your typical day will look like, so let's say I'm going to show you a demonstration. Okay, so let's see. So let's say you are my client. Okay, so let me pick one name from the chat section. So I'm going to pick a name of Karishma. Okay, Karishma, if you are there, you are the lucky one. Okay, so Karishma comes to me and she says that, hey Ali, I run a business, a multi-million dollar business, and I need a website, and I have a very good fan following, so people are going to come and visit this website. So she comes to me with this proposal. Okay, now I'm a developer, so I develop a very pretty looking website. Everything. I develop a good back end. I develop a front end. Okay, and now I need to make sure that this website is available to everyone across, all the fans of Karishma, and she's able to use it, and it is scalable. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go create a project for her. Okay, so okay, I created a project for her, and then what I can do is I can see the services which are available. So now Karishma came to me and she said that she has a good following, and she has a lot of customers. That means she will require auto scaling. Okay, so because she need a lot of people are going to visit her website, and because what I'm using is a static website, what I can do is I can use a virtual machine and deploy that very easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to compute engine, VM instances, and I'm going to create a virtual machine for her and configure it so that it is available for others. So this is my own VPN. So I use my own VPN, which is developed by myself. So if you want to leverage that, you can contact me. I also sell it. Joking, it is my personal VPN. I don't sell it though. So because I don't trust other VPNs in the market, so I have created my own virtual machine, and which acts as my VPN. Okay, so here I will create a machine, and I will say that Karishma. Okay, and then what I need to do is I need to select that. Okay, because what I will do is we are in Asia, so I'm going to select Asia Pacific region, and I'm going to select server as Mumbai. Usually you can select Singapore because it is much faster. So I'm going to select Mumbai, and then from that, so she told me that she has a very huge fan following. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a big machine. So I'm going to use a machine with around 60 gigs of RAM and 16 vPUs, and then I'm going to change the OS to Linux. So this is Debian, so I can change it to Ubuntu. So I can go here, and Ubuntu is free, so that's why. So 16.04 LTS, and I need around 100 gigs of you know storage so that I can scale it properly. I'm going to allow HTTP and HTTPS, and then I'm going to create this virtual machine. Okay, and now after creating this virtual machine, what I can do is I can SSH into this virtual machine, and I can deploy an ASIC server which is going to be available for everyone, and they can come and they can actually visit this website. So this is what your job is going to look like. So the VM is already created, right? So if I go to external IP address, I won't be able to see anything because I haven't written anything in the application. So what I have to do is I have to SSH into the system, and then I have to configure it accordingly, and then I will be able to kind of configure it and work with it. Okay, so yeah, this is the error you are going to get. So this is how a typical you know client or your job might look like. This is one of the things. Okay, there are so many different things. So this is like a simple website. Now if an organization comes with saying that okay, we need this things, and xyz things. So in that case, you need a big server. You need to deploy different kinds of applications. You need to configure different types of things so that they are able to see it. Now I'm going to delete this, else it is going to cost me some money. So yeah, so that's one of the jobs, how it looks like, okay, on a daily basis. So that is something which I wanted to show you. Okay, so what is the learning resources? How can you learn cloud? Very easy. You can go to Quick Labs. Quick Labs is a very good service which enables you to understand cloud very easily, because it provides you a hand-on access. I will just show you how it works. So this is Quick Labs, and I actually had a monthly subscription package, but I haven't given that to you as of now. But I will definitely see to it if I'm able to share some code with you maybe later. So this is how the Quick Labs look like. Oops. So what you can actually do is you can, okay, I guess I need to switch back on something. Just give me a second. Oops. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, so this is how I can actually start my lab without even registering on the cloud platform. And it is also available for Google Cloud AWS. So you can learn from this very easily, effectively. So it will configure you a temporary machine and then you can learn from it very easily. Okay, so that is something which I recommend for learning cloud. And also Azure has their own tutorial. So it is called as Microsoft Learn. So you can go to Microsoft Learn and you can learn about Azure Cloud there. So this is MS Learn. So you can go here and you can browse the paths and you can complete the learning from this site as well. So introduction to Microsoft 365, build a pipeline with Azure pipelines and so on and so forth. So you can use this for learning Microsoft. For Azure, they have their own academy. So you can go and learn from Azure Academy as well. Okay. Okay. So that's it from my side. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the poser of Azure as well. So this is the portal of Azure, and I can sign into my portal because I already have access. So it looks similar. Okay, so I just want to show the interface so that you're able to see what goes inside all this cloud platforms. So you can see this is how the Azure dashboard looks like. So it is way too different. I really love the Google dashboard because it's very fun and very easy to understand than AWS and Azure. So I really love that. So here also you can see I have different APIs which are available, and I don't have a virtual machine, but I can create one again, and the same process applies for creating a virtual machine here as well. Okay, so you can actually go here and fill this up, and then you will be able to kind of have a look. Okay, so that's it from my side, and thank you very much for connecting with me. It was pleasure hosting you guys. Hope you understood different kinds of cloud computing problems, and why to learn, where to learn, how to get started. So now let's take a look at the questions. So you can keep asking questions, or you can reach out to me at this given details so that I can show you. Yeah, so I can interact. So I will be available here to talk with you after the session mostly. I also have a YouTube channel called as Ali Mustafa, where you can connect with me, and I conduct similar sessions there as well. So yeah, thank you so much. Let's get back to the questions. So what I'm going to need is so the first question was what are the opportunities like in terms of job after doing an online course for AWS professionals by Google Cloud on Coursera, and where to apply for jobs. So let's say if you did a course, so what I usually believe is practice. Okay, so cloud is all about practice. If you don't practice cloud, it becomes very difficult, because if you learn theory and apply that practically in terms of cloud, it is way too different. Okay, so theory might be totally different and practical might be totally different, because you don't know, like, how practical works. So how the VM is going to react. So there are many different aspects to it. So you need to practically develop your skills. You need to keep learning it, and keep working on different projects. And once you are at that stage where you can proudly say that you can deploy a WordPress blog on a cloud platform with auto scaling and network management, so you can say yourself, you can land yourself a job very easily. There are plenty of jobs available, so you can search for jobs directly using Google Jobs, which provides one stop engine for all the jobs. And I know many of my friends who have already got jobs when they learned AWS, Amazon Web Services. So searching for a job is easy, because once you have completed the courses and you have practical exposure is very much necessary, because if you don't understand how practically it works, it is going to be useless. Okay, so people are not going to give you jobs, because practical knowledge in cloud is very much essential. So yeah. Uh, I am AWS Cloud Practitioner certified, but I want to learn more practical knowledge. Can you suggest me some tutorial for that? So for that, I guess AWS Academy has some advanced tutorial, but again, once you are already certified, in that case, what you need to do is you need to make your own projects, or you need to take third-party projects, so that you can improve your knowledge. Because there is a very limited content when it comes to certification. But in real life, the scenarios are different, so you will learn a lot when you take projects and you implement that. And learning resource, I recommend their official documentation, because that is the best thing, best learning resource which you can find. So another question is, sir, what is the prerequisite to learn cloud computing? So as I am not good at coding, so yeah, I didn't tell you that. Okay, so in terms of cloud computing, I can say that this is a job which requires zero coding. So it does require understanding how code works, but it requires zero coding. So you don't need to write code. You need to write a very small amount of code. Okay. So this is a non-coding job. So if you're not good with coding, cloud is for you. If you are good in sales, cloud sales is for you. Okay. Sales is also one of the jobs which is very underrated, because people think salesman hai yaar ye to. So it is because of that mentality. But believe me, 5 years down the line, or if you make a very good product and there is no good salesman for it, it's not going to sell. Okay, so being a salesman is also a very good job. Okay, so yeah, that was there for the coding part. Okay, awesome session. Thank you so much for attending. Can we get a hands-on session for this? So I usually conduct workshops on 2 days and 4 days for machine learning. You can tell your college teacher or the organizing body to arrange a hands-on workshop session, where I will kind of practically demonstrate how it works, and might help you to create a blog or something using cloud computing, using cloud resources, obviously. So yeah, we can do that hands-on, but 2 hours is very less, so it takes a day at least. What are the platforms used for large scale cloud computing? Google Cloud Platform, Amazon. So if you know, Hotstar uses Amazon. So when we talk about 1 million users, or around 5 million, 10 million live stream users, how are they going to scale to 10 million users and everyone watching a video? So you can imagine the amount of compute which Hotstar requires, which all the streaming platforms require. So obviously, they trust AWS, they trust Google Cloud Platform, and that's why they kind of give their contracts to them. So yeah. Does posting your certificates on LinkedIn help with getting jobs? I don't think so. So you know what? So certifications are a validation to your knowledge. Okay. So I am not a preacher of certificates, or I am not even the one who degrades certificates. Okay. So in terms of when I talk about cloud, certifications are very important because whenever so why it is important, I will tell you one thing. So let me draw, because that is going to be more interesting. Okay, because this question I wanted to answer it, so I just want to make sure that you understand it totally. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen again, because the screen sharing option should be visible. Okay, just give me a second so that I can share the screen properly. Okay, because this is some question which I really want to answer, and it comes many a times. So oops, I don't want notepad. Till then you can fill the feedback form. Okay, so let's assume that I guess my screen sharing is there. Yes, so let's assume that this is the cloud provider. Okay, so this is, let's say, Google, or it is AWS, or it is uh, Azure. Okay, they are big parties. Okay, big people who are running the whole cloud computing thing. They have all the, okay, I cut down the Azure part. I will write it here. No problems. Azure. Okay, in not any particular order, just for the reference sake. So Azure, Google, and AWS, they are big parties, right? Now there is a client. Okay, and he is a businessman. Okay, so he has zero knowledge about technology. Zero knowledge. He doesn't know anything about tech. Okay, he doesn't know anything about tech. Now he goes. He has a website. Okay, or an app which he wants to deploy on cloud computing. Okay, what he does is he goes to a company. Okay, so a servicing company, like CloudFront. There are so many different servicing companies. So it is a small servicing company which provides cloud services. Okay, so let's name it XYZ company. Now what the usual flow will be like, this guy is going to go here, and then this guy is going to serve him back. Okay, so this is the normal flow. Client goes to the company, company serves the client better. Okay, but what happens is the company which is here, this company, okay, why should this businessman or this client select this company? Okay, so the answer is because it has a lot of people who are certified in trending clouds. So he will be like, okay, I have employees which are 20 plus certifications. Okay, so they have 20 plus certifications. So that's why I am the one whom you can give me the job. Okay, and I will get it done. So that's how the certifications in cloud specifically increase the value of the organization in terms. And then once you have a certain number of, let's say, X certificates in your company, what you can do is you can say that hey Google, I am bringing a lot of business to you. Okay, so I am bringing a lot of business to you. What I want is, I want a cut. I want to become a partner. Okay, I am bringing a lot of business to you. Why should I choose you? I can choose AWS, I can choose Azure, I can choose anyone, right? So I want to become a partner now. I want more profit. So in that case, he will have to kind of he will go to Azure, and he will be like, man, can I become your partner? or he will go to let's say Google AWS, and he will say like, I have 10 clients and I want to be your partner. Okay, so this is where the certification game comes in. So if you are doing certifications, then it's very good in terms of cloud. Okay, and if you're putting them on different platforms, that means people will get hold of it, and they might be like, okay, let me hire this guy because he already has a certification. But this doesn't really mean that if you have a certification you are guaranteed to get the job, because you might earn certification through false exam, you might do cheating, you might have done certifications 3 years back, 2 years back. So in that case, the knowledge is again tested by the HR or the technical expert who is taking your interview. So yes, certificates are good, important, but again, the importance as I showed you, but again, it doesn't really means that it is going to guarantee you the job. Okay, so I guess that is very much clear from my side. Okay, so still if you want to pursue a certificate, that is good, you can still pursue a certificate. But again, as I told you, that's how it really happens at the end of the day. Okay, um oops, any more questions? No, it is easy. So even if you are on GCP and you want to migrate to any cloud, so many of the cloud providers, they provide the service of going out and then sharing your detail about like, let's say I am using a AWS. Okay, I'm using AWS for storage. I'm using Azure for AI services. Okay, tomorrow I don't like Azure. I want to move out of Azure. So it is going to be a hectic task, yes, but I can definitely replace it. There is no binding that you cannot do so. Okay, so you can migrate it, and if you are not aware of this, there is something called as Anthos. Okay, now that is something which allows you to do cross integration with different cloud platforms. So you say, I want to use storage of Google, I want to use compute of AWS, I want to use Kubernetes of Azure. You are free to do so with Anthos in the game. So obviously there is no monopoly here, because as I told you, the example of telecommunication companies, Airtel was running the monopoly. Airtel was the only company which, because every Airtel network was good. Okay, so they were running their monopoly on price, that we are going to charge this much amount of money. If you want to come. If you don't want to come, we don't want you, because they were the monopoly in the market. Okay, as soon as Geo came, it broke the monopoly. So if Google is not going to allow me to migrate back to different cloud, I'm not going to choose Google. No one is going to choose Google. So it is really important to to for companies that uh, you allow them for the customers to come in and the customers to go out. So yeah, that is there. No clouds restrict you so much. So yeah, I guess we are done with the questions, and the time is also running ahead. So yeah, we will end this. Thank you so much.
Yes, and also on behalf of IEEE student branch, Shri Ramdeobaba College of Engineering and Management, Nagpur, I, Bhumika Ben, Execom member, would like to thank you from a bottom of our hearts for taking out time from your valuable schedule and, to give us your time for this more than an hour session. And also, everyone, if you want a hands-on session, please fill the feedback form and please let us know that you need a hands-on session, and we will definitely arrange for you from sir only. And that's all from our sides. Also, the link to the feedback form is in the description box, as well as it has been emailed to you, and also it is there available on the comment section. So please do like, share, subscribe this video, as you know the drill. So that's all from our side. And sir, I guess we have one more question. That is
Yeah.
from Raj. That why people prefer AWS over GCP?
Okay. So it is just like so. Still, I am using Airtel. right? Though Geo is there in the market, but I'm still using Airtel. Why is it so? Because I believe Airtel is still good, and Airtel works on a technology which I like, and it provides the same amount of speed which it was providing earlier. So when I talk about cloud, something similar happens. Okay, so let's say if I am in business with AWS, I'm in business with them for 5 years. Okay, and like there is a competitor to me. Okay, XYZ person who is my competitor, and now because I'm using AWS, he might be saying that, hey man, I also want to use AWS because my competitor is using AWS. So that is one of the factors which I have seen mostly of people, choosing a cloud platform because their competitor uses the same platform. Second thing is about data. So people are like, Google steals data. Now it's not really that the case because Google encrypts the data end to end. Okay, so even let's say someone breaks into the Google's data center and they get access to the hardware on which the data is stored, then too we will be able to you won't be able to retrieve the data because it is so much encrypted, right? It is encrypted over the air. So it's like yeah, there's no stealing, but people still believe that Google might not be the ideal choice when it works with sharing your data. In that case, Azure is the real king there because people trust Microsoft so much. The trust factor in Microsoft is so much that they blindly kind of go ahead because there are businesses which are running up and bottom with Azure, and yeah, so that's there. Yeah, we are biased. Yeah, human bias is there. So because I'm running a GCDC, I might say that GCP is best, but I don't say that because GCP is good and so is Azure because I have worked with both, and I like GCP is because it provides me cheap compute power, the cheapest platform. So what happens with AWS is that you need to commit that I'm going to use that for 5 years, but with GCP it's not like that. With GCP, I can run it for a year and then it will provide me sustained discounts. So that's why I like GCP. So yeah, it's a personal choice. Yes. Thank you so much. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. And I hope everyone is staying safe and all are well, taking proper care of themselves. And that's all from our side. And I would also like to thank Dr. Richa Khandelwal, ma'am, our branch counselor, for always guiding us and also arranging this session for all of us. And then we have Monica, our chairperson of student branch, Gitika Di, our branch mentor. Also, we have Shri and Karishma, those who were behind the session, working hard to, for arranging the session for you all. So that's signing out from. We also have two more people, Parag and Akshit, those who were also behind this session. So that's all from our side, and we will arrange hands-on session as well. Please fill the feedback form and do let us know what you all want in the future. So thanks a lot for this amazing session, sir. It was pleasure hosting you, and I hope you had the same experience with us as well.
Thank you so
So
much.
thank
Yeah.
you a lot, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. And that's all of us signing off.